Hey guys, welcome back to the Kampai Sugai podcast. Very excited today. I have a very special guest with me, someone who I've been meaning to have on the show for a while, and I'm gonna hype her up a little bit because I think this person is fantastic as an entrepreneur. She's young, but don't let her age fool you because I mean she's been a big trailblazer with entrepreneurs out there, small business owners, but also I can't say maybe you're still a small business owner because you've really expanded even outside that range. So um, I'm here with the owner, creator of Shop Kolohe. Please give a round of applause for Miss Rose Wong.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course, yeah, and thank you for coming all the way out here. Do you usually come to the windward side a lot, or?
No, not so much, but I love this side of the island. It's beautiful, so I'm always happy to make the drive.
Yeah. Yeah, windward side. I lived on the windward side pretty much my whole life.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So, and you grew up Hawaii Kai side.
I grew up Hawaii Kai side. We actually moved to Kaneohe for a few years, and then moved back to like New Valley, Hawaii Kai side. So I was always in that area.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
How long did you stay in Kaneohe then?
I was only in Kaneohe for about 2 years, 1 to 2 years, something like that when I was young.
Oh,
So it was
okay.
like when I was right before I went to school. I homeschooled until fourth grade, and then that was when we were in Kaneohe. So after that, I went to school.
Oh, so right after you were done homeschooling, then you went to.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
My dad wanted to put us into normal school.
Okay, cool. So we'll start off. Where'd you before we get into like your entrepreneurship career?
Yes,
You graduated Kaiser High School.
Kaiser High School.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, tell us more. Tell us more about.
I homeschooled until fifth grade, and before that, I was always really bad at school. I would always hide our worksheets and throw them away in the trash
Okay.
can and hide them from my mom. So when I got
As
to
a homeschooler.
as a homeschooler, so when I got
That's
to
awesome.
when I got to fifth grade, I didn't even know how to multiply and divide. That's the basics you learn in like third grade, right? And so that was my first year of school, and I remember I was so excited back then. I got voted most likely to succeed because I didn't know how to do anything. You know,
Okay.
I didn't learn all these basics in school that you learn from first grade all the way up to fifth grade. So I was always so determined. So I did that, and then I went to Wailupe Elementary School. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was a super small school in Ainahaina. The year after I went there, it actually closed down
Oh my
because there was
gosh.
only about 10 students in my class. So it was a very small
Oh,
school,
wow.
very
Jeez.
different. And then I went to New Valley Elementary School, and then I was at Kaiser High School. I was supposed to graduate a year early, and then about a week before graduation, I was like, what am I doing? Why am I rushing things?
Yeah.
And so I ended up staying my full year. But that's when Kolohe started. I started my business when I was a sophomore. I was 16 years old at the time. And then just a lot of storylines from there, and
Yeah.
it's crazy to see how far we've came since then. Just the other day I was thinking, 16-year-old Rose never would have thought that we would be here today. And so I was thinking about, just imagine where we'll be in a few years. So there's a lot of storylines there.
Yeah.
But that's where it all started, high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was under Kolohe Ocean Gems, right?
Yes.
That
It was under Kolohe Ocean Gems at first, and when I got to UH Manoa and started learning about business, because I was a marketing major my second year, I found that Kolohe Ocean Gems is a really long name. It's about 6 syllables. It's really hard
Yeah.
for people to remember, especially not tourists, tourists who didn't know what Kolohe meant. And so I tried so hard to change the business name, but it never felt right. So I kept Kolohe. And the meaning kind of grew as the business grew and matured. Kolohe, rascal in Hawaiian, kind of grew to mean being unique and different, like our jewelry, challenging norms, thinking outside of the box, being unconventional. So I always like to say being a good Kolohe, a good rascal in the community.
rascal.
Yes, good rascal.
Actually, in some sense, this is like the Kolohe podcast right here.
Yes, Kolohe
Actually,
podcast.
You can take that.
I
If
love
you-
it.
If you, if you ever start a podcast, you can
One
take that.
day I would love to. Yes, I think it's so amazing that, people like you who do podcasts just share stories.
Oh,
And
thank
so I
you.
have a very big appreciation for it. I think it's so important.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I started doing this because I wanted to spread aloha. I wanted to get
Yes.
local entrepreneurs on here, local
Mhm.
talent. I didn't want to restrict it to just local
Yes.
entrepreneurs and everything. So like I've expanded, trying to get people from the
Yeah.
mainland or other countries and stuff like that.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty cool, and I keep it more relaxed. I used to have it under the Talk Story podcast
Yeah.
umbrella, but rebranded just because I wanted to find more of a not a niche, but more something
Yes.
some more personality with it
Yes. Your own.
because like before, I didn't have my name a part of it, so
Yeah.
it could have went with anybody, but then like I wanted to make it differentiated with other people and
Yeah.
differentiated with what other podcasts are doing. So I put my name in it, but also I kind of created a set around the name.
Yeah, I
So,
love that. I
yeah.
love it.
And I mean, of course, with your jewelry line as well, you've created your own personalized style with your jewelry as well. So
Yes, definitely. It's actually so what's special about our stores, it's a custom jewelry bar. So that's what we specialize in. So I always tell people it's kind of like, do you remember Build-A-Bear?
yeah,
It's kind of like Build-A-Bear but for ladies. And
build a
so
jewelry.
build a jewelry, yeah. And so you can come in, choose your chain, choose your charm, your style, and you can get a really special piece made on the spot. And so
my
that's
wife
kind
has
of been
one
our
too.
niche. I know you designed a beautiful piece for her.
Yeah, thank you. She loves it. She loves the design. Actually, funny story about that.
Uh-huh.
It was for a Christmas gift,
Yeah.
and I hid it
Yeah.
in here in the set,
Yes.
and she ended up finding it. Actually,
Oh no.
but I hid it over. But I kept hinting to her. She's like, I was like, oh, I got your Christmas gift, and then she went immediately to go find it,
Aw.
which is fine.
She was excited.
She was
She was
excited.
excited.
Actually, I was kind of hoping that she found it.
Yeah.
Because like then she could wear it. Wear it
Yeah.
around, show it off.
Yeah, good.
And then tell people like, hey, I got it from Rose at Shop Kolohe. I got it over here in
Yeah.
Waikiki, 2 locations.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I know you guys seem like a power couple. I know she does her writing, and then you do your creative side too, which is the podcast. So that's awesome that you guys can kind of almost like join forces like that and
Yeah.
help each other, support each other through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sooner or later, I want to go more into like filmmaking. So
Yes.
do some more.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told that on the podcast, but
Yeah.
yeah, I want to do more short films and stuff like that. Just
Yeah.
because the experiment. And Kelsey she wants to do the same thing as
Yeah,
well. So.
that's awesome. I think
Yeah.
that's so great when two people are just aligned in that way and you guys can just help each other through that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your family because your family is huge. You have what, 12 brothers and sisters? Or-
I grew up with 12 siblings. My blood family, I have 7 siblings, so 8 of us total. When we grew up, my dad got remarried. So he has on his side 8 kids. He got remarried to a woman who had 5 kids. So I remember in middle school, that's when they got married, we had a 3-bedroom house. My side of the family, 8 of us, were in one room. And then her side of the family, my stepmom's side of the family, 5 of them were in another room. And then my parents had their room. And so
Jeez.
there was like 15 of us under one roof, and it was chaotic, which is one of the reasons probably why I'm so okay with entrepreneurship and with things being chaotic at times. But yeah, family was a big, big, big part of it, and lots of storylines there as well. And they were one of the reasons why I started Kolohe. And I remember it's so crazy because it's so awesome to see now my little sisters, they have their own business of their own too. And my little brother, he started droning. He's
Really?
14 years old and he started droning and he's getting paid to do it. And so it's awesome to see him kind of take his own talents and make an income out of it too. And you know what really drove me to start Kolohe was because I saw all of my older siblings having to drop out of high school, having to get their GEDs, having to work restaurant jobs. We couldn't afford to send them to college, having having to go into military.
Mm.
And I remember distinctly one day, I was like, there's got to be more for me and more for my younger siblings. And at that point, I told myself, I'm going to just pave my own path. I'm not going to let whatever was set out for us, even though we did go to Kaiser High School, and we were very blessed to be in Hawaii Kai. But we weren't as privileged as people we weren't as privileged as people think we were when I tell them I'm from Hawaii Kai. We were always in the cheapest house and
Yeah,
whatnot.
there's that stigma.
Yes, there's totally a stigma, and it's true for some people, but then for some people it's not true. And I just saw the path that was paved out for my older siblings, and I didn't want that for me and my younger siblings. And so I told myself I'm going to put myself through college. I got my first job when I was 15 years old.
Jeez.
Started my business when I was 16 years old. Opened the store when I was 21 years old. I moved out when I was in 8th grade, then moved out again when I was 19. And so ever since then, I've been kind of just paving the path, and it's just crazy to see what we've built and what we're going to continue to build, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's incredible that you opened your first store at 19 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. First store I was 21.
Oh, first store 21. Yeah.
Opened the business when I was 16.
16.
First store was 21 while I was finishing up college at UH Manoa. Yeah.
Crazy. So another crazy thing is the amount of jobs you work.
Yes.
I mean, you just before even getting to college, you worked numerous amounts of jobs.
Yes. So I got my first job when I was 15 years old. I remember back then it was like illegal. I had to get a very special permit because it was illegal for someone that young to work. My first job was Kozo Sushi. I was a sushi chef,
Love
sushi
it.
artist. That's what my title was. And then after that, I worked anywhere from Subway. I worked at, a gourmet popsicle, Ono Pops, gourmet popsicle place. I would make the popsicles. It was a really beautiful business. And then I thought I wanted to work with kids, so I went into A+. Didn't necessarily like kids, so I thought I wanted to work with elder people. So I went to a retirement home restaurant. Didn't necessarily like working with elder people. And so I jumped around a lot. And then I was at Magnolia, a boutique in Kahala Mall. And that's when I started Kolohe. Back then, minimum wage was I remember my first paycheck from Kozo Sushi, minimum wage was about $7 an hour, which was so much money for me back then. And so I was making a little bit more than minimum at Magnolia, but I was always really good at selling the jewelry. And I love the storyline that jewelry brought to people. I love that anyone could partake in it, whether it was guys, dads, uncles, grandpas buying jewelry for gifts, or whether it was someone young or someone older, all ages in between. And I always loved that, that specialness that a jewelry piece carried, and that personality that a jewelry piece carried. And so I remember back then I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. I was making minimum wage, but I was like, I want to sell the jewelry pieces that I've been selling for like $60. And so I remember taking $50 to Ben Franklin. And back then that was so much money for me. I got really rinky-dink tools, made some really ugly first jewelry pieces, started selling them at my high school. And that's how the whole Kolohe empire started.
And so from your other jobs, besides Magnolia, do you think you've taken some of the qualities or even like some of the skills from those jobs into what you do today?
Oh, definitely. I think general work ethic of just always finding a better job. I think that played into me of always improving the business. And then customer service. I was a server at Asagio's in Hawaii Kai for about 2 to 3 years. And I think that's where I learned all of my customer service. And customer service in any line of work is so important, how you communicate with people. And I think it's just, really important when someone does work a restaurant job, And so that taught me definitely a lot. And then I was president of the Entrepreneurs Club. And while I was in college, I was in charge of, my little team. And that taught me a lot, too, because before I used to be like an angry leader,
Really?
Yes, I was. Anyone in the club will tell you that at that point. And I quickly learned that, hey, Rose, you can't manage people like that, So it taught me how to manage people, and it prepared me to manage my own team in my business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Angry leader. I can't imagine you angry
That's
person like that.
that's good. I grew up with a lot of, believe it or not, a lot of anger management problems. Still to this day, I have to manage it. Mostly comes out with people that are close to me, like my boyfriend or my sisters.
Uh,
And it's something that I've had to learn to balance.
hmm. Interesting. So, kind of want to build off of that. So, like you might get some clients, maybe some negative clients too. How do you handle that?
We've actually been very blessed that we haven't gotten any super negative
Hmm.
clients. I think probably, if something happens where we say we can complete this piece and then we end up having to complete it maybe the next week instead of what we promised and we have to ship it out, it's just about spinning the situation to be positive in a positive way. For example, in that situation, we could say, oh, we really take our time with these pieces. It's our craft, so we want to take our time with it. We'll ship it out to you next week. So we've been very blessed that we haven't had any super negative clients or experiences at all. And if we do, we just try our best to work very one-on-one with the customer to make it right. Yeah.
I mean, I think one good thing about your business is that it is like a build a jewelry business. So it's
Yes.
customizable. It's unique to uh, every person that comes in and gets new product.
Yeah, totally.
Of course, you might have some like maybe a client that wants a certain like that 10,000 wave rings. Is it wave rings or?
We sold 10,000 handmade wave rings to a subscription box in LA, and we handmade each and every one of them.
Yeah, you got your family involved with making them too.
Everyone, that was before I had a team, so everyone pitched in from my younger siblings to some of my older siblings to some of my brother's young kids as young as like 6 years old.
Oh, jeez.
He was packaging them for us.
Oh, great.
That was a really fun experience.
But see, so like something like that because of your commitment, and then also the way that you formulated your business to be customizable and be able to uh, accommodate to every client. I think that helps out a lot.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's something that, especially in jewelry, what I've noticed, a lot of people that go to other jewelry stores, they do want a small change, but the other jewelry stores, they're not able to make that change. So that's like our special niche is the custom part of it. And that kind of came because at the Lohilani, our first store that we opened, we would do the jewelry classes, and people loved that we would teach them how to do it and they would design it themselves. So then when we opened our flagship store, it kind of grew into our going full blown out with the Kolohe custom jewelry bar. And that's what we've been known for. That's what we've grown our business on, and people just really love it because it's so special and so different. Yeah.
So I want to circle back to college, because I think a lot of, like for me, I think college did help out in some way. I would say more so it helped out with the networking.
Yes, totally. I agree with you.
But in terms of like maybe classes and stuff like that, maybe I didn't really think that it translated into like my career today.
Yeah.
So like, was it the kind of the same experience for you, or?
Yes, very much so. I had a lot of professors who didn't like me
Oh, okay.
because I was working on my business in class, and people always ask me, "Oh, did you learn how to market your business from your classes?" And I always tell them, "No, I learned what I got out of my college experience was like you said, the networking, being president of the Entrepreneurs Club, the real life experience. I got to do business pitch competitions locally and then nationally. I got to travel to Silicon Valley for business programs. I got to go to different networking events, build mentors, meet mentors. And from my classes, for example, in one of my marketing classes, the whole point of that class was it was a capstone class too. The whole point of the class was to get an internship. And so I was always the one raising my hand saying, well, what if I don't want an internship? I'm going to work on my business. So what do I do? And she was always so mad at me because I would ask questions like that, just very unconventional. And some people even remember me like wrapping the wave rings in class sometimes. And so
Crazy.
I think I got most of my experience out of college definitely from being in the Entrepreneurs Club, much more than from being in my classes, unfortunately. But I know it's different for everyone. You know, some lines of work require are more important to have those classes. Mine necessarily wasn't. I was very close to dropping out at one point. But a lot of, you know, my close friends just encouraged me to stay on, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did, but yeah, was that how it was for you too?
You know, for me, yeah, kind of this. So I did drop out for a few years, but that's because I wanted to go into like full time work.
Yes.
I
Oh,
did.
wow.
I did the first 2 years through college, but I mean, those are kind of boring years. And
Yeah.
I was kind of
The
like
core
trying to find
classes.
my way, and then
Yeah.
like, I used to be an engineering major,
Wow.
so I used to go into computer engineering, and then I switched to electrical engineering, and then I
Wow.
realized I didn't really like any of that.
Yeah, that's very hard. That's a hard
Um,
major.
so you know, I took all these like science and math classes for nothing because like I don't use
Uh,
it in accounting today.
yes.
But like, I remember I took an economics class,
Hmm.
and then from there, economics was kind of the thing that clicked, and
That
to
you
like,
liked, yeah.
yeah, like I could do something like this.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing major because it's really hard for people to understand the finances of things, and I think it's a critical part of any business, and so I think it's it's an amazing career path that you went through.
Yeah, my
Finances are hard.
one of my old bosses is an economics major,
Yeah.
and doing really good in like marketing and sales today too.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
um, I don't think people understand the value of like economics and like how
Oh,
it can
totally.
influence.
Yes, it's just data and numbers, and everything is run off of
Exactly.
data and numbers pretty much. And if you can understand how to put those data and numbers into something
To a chart.
tangible,
Yeah.
exactly, into tangible action items.
Mm-hmm.
We recently brought on a CFO, which
Oh, okay,
I've been
cool.
so excited about to help me understand our numbers as I manage bigger revenues, and we have huge milestones now. So I think it's yeah, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun to learn about too.
Yeah. So, yeah, going back to it, you actually used to major in psychology. I don't know if people
Yes.
know about this,
Yes. You did your homework.
but so yeah, I did. So you used to major in psychology. Why did you go into psychology first before you went to business?
That's a great question. I went into psychology because I always thought that I wanted to help people. And I had to go to a lot of psychologists when I was younger because, you know, when my parents divorced and all the things with my stepmom, my parents always tried to put me in psychologists. And I was always so sassy with them. I didn't like how I didn't think that they, you know, connected with me. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to become a psychologist so that there can be better psychologists out there. Another big part of it was to help and one day understand my mom. And so she was actually, which is another big part of my business and me starting it. She was houseless for 15 years, suffering from bipolar
Wow.
schizophrenia. Hmm.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so
Jeez.
that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go into psychology. And I would go to her psychologist with her sometimes, and I would see how insensitive they were sometimes. And so I really wanted to be the psychologist that, you know, could just be there for people. And then after learning that, if to do anything in psychology and to make money off of it, I had to get my master's, but I didn't want to go to school for that long. So, and I always, even though I started my business in high school, I always thought of it as a small side hobby thing. And so I never knew that I could,
Propel it forward
yes,
like
propel
this.
it forward. And
Yeah.
so I actually switched after my first year into business marketing, but I'm still so fascinated by psychology. I think psychology is a very important major and a very important aspect of, you know, any industry and any business. And just understanding a little bit more about how the mind works is so important. So it's still ingrained in me a little bit. But yeah, that's the reason why I switched from psychology into marketing.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, I agree with you. Psychology can work with so many things with business, clientele, even understanding. I mean, I don't want you to psychoanalyze people when they
No,
come
no,
in.
no.
You know what I mean? But like understanding the mind or understanding the reasons why people act a certain way, or
Yeah, totally.
maybe the reasons why they really appeal to certain products or something maybe
Yes.
they don't appeal to it.
Yeah, I would say that's more of sales psychology, you know, so really reading the customer, really reading the client, and just doing our best to be in their interests. So that's the part of the psychology that applies to our business. Another part is psychology of team management and team building and understanding how different people are motivated even. And I think that's a big part of it. You know, eventually when the business gets so big, you're just managing people and the people are what's growing the business. And we have an amazing team now. And so I think psychology and having, you know, something I'm still learning about is emotional intelligence, having a higher emotional intelligence, understanding how certain people work
Yeah.
and making the best environment for them to thrive in. And we've had to go through so many lessons to figure out that work culture that we really want to strive for and create. So it's been a big journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you guys use like Myers-Briggs maybe when you're
We do, yes.
okay.
So it's actually on our Kolohe application. The last question is, do you know your Myers-Briggs? Because I think
Okay.
that can say a lot about a person too. Mine, I believe, is ENTJ.
Oh, cool.
So I
Okay.
think it's something with the commander. Do you know yours?
Mine is so I remember I took it many times. I always got ENFJ, but
Oh,
later on it switched so it's like I would get like ENTJ or INTJ or
oh,
INFJ.
interesting.
So it would switch
Yeah,
between the E and the I and then the F and the T.
yeah,
So I don't know now.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Around there
but
somewhere.
I'll say ENFJ just because like that's what I grew up with and I kind of just stayed consistent with that.
Yes,
Maybe with other characteristics, maybe I just kind of
of
learned things
course.
over
Yeah,
time
yeah,
and then made me either um, make different decisions or
yes,
maybe whatever. But I'll still say I'm more of an ENFJ, I guess.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
ENTJ. So what does yours tell you about like your personality or characteristics?
Mine tells me I haven't looked at it in a while, but mine tells me that I am very direct. I like to take control of things,
Mm-hmm.
and I am very success driven.
Mm-hmm.
ENTJ, yeah, I think that's mostly what mine. I haven't revisited it in a
Mm.
while, honestly, so it'd be interesting to kind of go in again. But we always put that on our application because we like to just get a general idea of people. And in our job
Mm-hmm.
interviews, you know,
Yeah.
we're really trying to see what type of person they are to first and foremost make sure they're going to fit into our work culture.
Mm.
And so whenever we do interviews, that's the first thing we look at, the personality of a person, because you
Mm.
can teach skills. Skills are easy to teach. You can't
Yeah,
teach
definitely.
someone honesty and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what we look for.
Yeah, different values. Yeah.
Yeah, different values for sure. It affects so much. And I mean, you are, you know, the product of your five closest friends. And I think that's so
Mm.
true for the work environment too. And I really want to make a good work environment for our employees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One you can look at is I Kelsey and I recently we've been kind of looking more into this kind of personality test, but it's called an Enneagram.
Yes.
Oh,
Enneagram.
so you know the Enneagram?
Yes, I do. I think I was either like a three. It's the
Mm.
number one, right? Is
Yes.
that the number one?
One through nine. Yeah.
Yeah. What was
So
yours?
so mine I kept denying it that they think I'm a nine, but then I
Ah,
keep taking the test and then I keep getting a nine, so
yes.
maybe I
How
am a
come
nine.
you denied it?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I kind of maybe was more of a seven, which is more for people out there. Sevens are more like the enthusiasts. They're more
Ah,
explorative. A disadvantage is they try to avoid conflict as much as
ah,
possible. I'm not that kind of person though, so that's
yes.
why
And what is a nine?
a nine is a peacekeeper.
Okay.
So they do their best to make sure like everything is a okay.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a great trait. How come you keep denying it?
I don't know. I
Because
don't
you
know.
resonate more with the other one.
I guess so. I guess I
Yeah.
resonate more with a seven, but
Yeah.
maybe that's because like well with a healthy
Yes.
nine is more explorative. They have an opinion with things. They have
Ah, I see.
they're okay with like breaking the norm or the breaking
Yes. I
that
can see
piece.
that in you too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
So what is a three? Three is achiever, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very much so.
I think you're a healthy three actually.
Yes.
If I think about it. which is good.
What is the unhealthy 3? Do you know?
Unhealthy 3. So the way it works is, so there's the 9, and then it's kind of like a triangle. So it goes 9, and then 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
and then 8, 7, 6, 5.
Yeah.
So when you get away, I guess when you veer away from the 9, I guess they want to achieve kind of going towards the 9. So when I
see,
say
I
you're healthy
see.
3, that's a good thing, because then
Yeah.
you're in a positive way. You're going. So the 2 is a helper.
Oh.
So they're in tune with, like, they always want to, like, strive to
Yeah.
help everyone around them. And I think a healthy 3 is more so someone who's more I'm trying to think, like, I guess I can't remember, like, what was in it,
Yeah.
but, like, if I guess if they achieve a lot of things, it's based on truth,
Yes.
based
Genuinity.
on genuinity, um
Mhm.
versus unhealthy 3 is based on, I think, lies.
Yes. Oh. Oh gosh.
But, like, I'm not saying,
Of
like,
course.
like in that fashion, but, like, if it went away from a 9, it would be going towards a 4. So
I
4s
see.
are kind of like identity crisis kind of people.
Yeah.
Not saying 4s are bad, but, like,
There's a balance, and
there's a balance,
I think
yeah.
it's important to understand the 2 sides that
Mhm.
you may or may not be,
Mhm.
and harness the good side.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, isn't it? The different personalities of people
Yeah.
and how they work.
Yeah,
It's fascinating.
interesting. So, like, we've been, like, learning about it, because, like, in terms of, like, filmmaking, we can have, like, a certain character, like maybe a 3
Oh,
interact
yes.
with a 9, or a 3
Oh,
interact with the 7.
yeah.
So building that kind of, like, scenarios.
Yes.
We could do that with INTJs, ENFJs as well, but it
Yeah.
gets a little complicated after a while with
Mhm.
um maybe people switching ENIs, or
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've been learning the Enneagram just to see if they kind of, like, just seeing different scenarios. But
Yeah.
um
Totally.
yeah, I've been doing it's kind of bad, because, like, I've been kind of looking at people like, oh, I wonder what kind of person they are, but, like, not in a bad way. It's
Yeah,
just, like,
just out of curiosity.
just out of curiosity. So, like, um I don't know if you ever heard this, but, like, you learn about a person maybe, like, the first
14 seconds.
14 seconds.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of doing the same thing with that, but then I'm also trying to figure out their type within the first 14 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, I think that's so true too.
Yeah.
I remember one of my mentors told me when he was explaining to me about interviewing and hiring people,
Mhm.
he said, right off of the bat, the first 14 seconds of you meeting a person, if you like them or if you don't like them and they're not going to resonate within your company. And first impressions are so important.
Mhm.
So it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting, because that kind of goes back to the psychology of people, how they grew up. Because,
Yeah.
like, for yourself, you grew up with a big family, so it also influenced how you were as a business owner, today. And then for me, I grew up with actually, I grew up, like, a mixed family. So
Yeah.
my dad and my mom were divorced.
Oh, wow.
And then when they got married, then they had me. So all my brothers and
Oh,
sisters
wow.
they're all my half brothers and
Oh,
sisters.
wow.
And then yeah, and it's interesting because, like, I grew up with my sister above me, who was very competitive.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not very competitive.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine, because, like, she was like, she would be competitive with video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you were okay with letting her
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, I'd try my best to, like, give her a challenge and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, like, in a way, it could kind of build off that 9, like, oh yeah, I don't care, like, if I
Yeah.
lost, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. I think that's important too, letting go of that ego.
Mm.
So that's awesome that you were like that. You grew up like that.
Were you competitive growing up?
I was very competitive. I grew up with
your
9.
siblings?
I grew up with 9 brothers. Of
Oh,
course, I
okay.
was competitive.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
And me and my sister have been talking about this recently because I grew up with a lot of masculine energy. Not in the sense that, like, I want to look masculine, but in the sense that, like, I'm very straightforward. I'm very logical, very direct. And so, yeah, I grew up pretty competitive. And I think that's what brought our business this far. But then it's interesting because now it's like I'm at peace with competition. I don't I look at another jewelry business and like, oh, you're our competition. Now I look at another small business, if it's a jewelry business, and like, hey, that's awesome that she's doing that, you know? So I, yeah, kind of learned how to navigate towards that, I guess you could say. And it's interesting in Hawaii because there's a lot of small jewelry businesses here. And it's interesting because we're small businesses because we want to help the community and give back to the community. And I think supporting each other is a way to do that. You know, there's no need to feel super competitive with small business. It's small business for small business, not small business against small business. So I've come to peace with that.
Yeah, same thing with like different podcasters. Like I know a lot of other podcasters on the island, but I'm not super competitive just because one, it's already hard enough living in Hawaii. So like so if I see their struggle with it, I'm like I understand. You know,
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, you're going towards the same goal.
Yeah.
Just to spread stories and
Yeah, exactly. And then you know, of course we all have different niches.
Yes.
I don't know. Mine might be different, but but like you know, everybody has their own thing. And then even for other jewelry businesses, I'm sure they have.
Yeah, everyone has their own niche. Everyone has their different specialties. So it kind of works. It was interesting the other day I was talking with a friend and she said, yeah, I mean, look at Waikiki. The biggest competitors in the world are right next to each other. All those luxury brands, they're right next to each other, you know? And so I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
And I think a lot of ways, like with small business owners or even like entrepreneurs or like small creatives and stuff like that, they're thinking more in terms of people rather than dollar signs. And I just had this conversation with like one of my friends last week right on the podcast because he's a realtor. And you know, we were talking about competition and stuff like that. And for him, it's different because you know there's so many realtors here.
Yes, totally.
But like he's thinking more on the terms of how can I just help people out?
Yes.
Right. Instead of like maybe another realtor that might be thinking, okay,
just dollar signs.
This dollar signs when they look at us, when they look at somebody. So, you know, it's a different mentality, and I think what's special about local businesses here, like I said, we live here. I don't want to say we're all suffering here, too. You know what I mean? But we're all suffering here, but we're also all thriving here as well. And
yes.
it's great to see local business owners or local entrepreneurs just thriving. So.
Yes. Yeah. Totally. Definitely.
So, going back to college, actually. So you were president of the Hawaii Students.
Hawaii Student Entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still go back to like go visit, maybe do like a class for them or something?
Yes, I've actually done a few speaker series with the PACE, Pacific Asian Center for Entrepreneurship. I've gone to speak with them at high schools. I actually got to speak at Kaiser High School a few times. And whenever they need something, you know, I'm always there to support. And they're actually building a new project. I'm so jealous. I don't know if you know the building right across where Banan was, right across from UH Manoa.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That pink building. They're building it into an entrepreneur's like dorm residency. Wow. I know. So they're gonna have a full on like 3D printer and all these cool rooms there, and I'm so jealous. But yeah, I'm still very, very involved there, and you know, I always try to help and give back in whatever way I can to the local entrepreneurship community. I loved everything that I did while my time was there, and I really loved, you know, helping other businesses. I've actually started mentoring a few small businesses.
Oh, cool.
And when the time is right, I want to do that a little bit more too. And we are in the middle of putting more of a social initiative impact to Kolohe, and so we want to actually create scholarships for female students in the creative zone, in entrepreneurship, and kind of do our part to foster that here. It's just, so fun for me, something that I'm very passionate about, sharing stories. And it's interesting because whenever I talk to these small businesses, the ones that I'm mentoring, they all have the same set of problems that I've been through and that I've gone through. And so it's easy to identify and almost have a template that can help structure and formalize it, because I think that's what small businesses struggle with when you get to a point where it's a little bit bigger. You know, how do you structure and formalize things from before when you did things at a smaller scale? You know, and that's kind of where we are right now. Yeah.
What do you think? So, like, I mean, first of all, that's pretty awesome. You know, what you're doing for young women who are entrepreneurs or who want to be entrepreneurs, you know, here in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's incredible
Mm-hmm.
because we don't. I feel like we should be supporting more local businesses here.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, I don't want to say it, but I'm tired of seeing Target, you know, everywhere here. But I mean, I still shop at Target.
I love Target.
Yeah.
I love all the small businesses too.
Yeah, you know, and so like for high schools or even
Yeah.
for even UH Manoa, do you think there's enough programs out there for people that want to pursue entrepreneurship, or what do you think should be different, you know, in those
I
programs?
think there's a lot more programs that are coming up, and
Mm.
that's what I'm so jealous about because now there's more than there was when I was there, you know. For example, that program that UH Manoa is building.
Mhm.
I think UH Manoa, the business school, has a really great program for entrepreneurship there. But like anything, it's how much you apply yourself to those things. So I think that's the part that kind of stands out. Um, I think a lot of schools could do things a little bit differently to encourage that side of people and of students, and that would be where all of the extracurricular programs do come into play. And I guess just giving more light to it, and you know, showing more of what that means, like at UH Manoa. I think UH Manoa has a great program. I think Hawaii is fairly supportive of small businesses. I think there's a lot of amazing programs. And I think, I mean, with mentoring these small businesses, I think the hard part is after you're not in college where you have all those resources, where are the resources for those people, you know? And I think it's in the small businesses to kind of form those resources for themselves, and which is why I love doing the mentorship. And I really want to get together a group of female entrepreneurs just to talk story and just to like support each other. And yeah, I think generally Hawaii does seem to be pretty supportive. I mean, that's how we were able to grow our business and expand to customers all over the nation, you know, because my environment was so encouraging of that. But I think it completely depends on what you do with it. You know, I very much took initiative on it so I could take advantage of those things, but I think it's all dependent on what you make of it, like anything in life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. Like back when I was going in high school and stuff like that, I don't feel like there was enough programs out there right now just to, you know, for entrepreneurs or even business, you know, in high schools and stuff like that. But I think like now Hawaii's kind of evolved. Maybe they've provided more programs in high schools. I mean, I went to Kailo High School, so
Yeah.
before we had like a really small class where we did economics, and I
Yeah.
didn't really care about it.
Yeah, I didn't really care about any of my classes in high school. I was on what is it called when your grades are so bad?
Oh,
I was on that list for a little
I
while.
don't know that list.
I was on that list for a little while.
Were you cheating? Were you were you throwing
No,
away tests?
I just had really bad grades at one point.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. I don't know. I guess high school. And then again in college too, actually.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, I got onto the dean's
Oh.
list. So
Well, I mean, it worked out in the end, right?
it worked out.
I mean, then again, you were already rebelling against your college professors already.
It's been unconventional.
Yeah.
It's been Kolohe.
Yeah. Now they're asking you, hey, can you speak in front of my class, right?
Exactly,
So, you know,
exactly.
sometimes you got to be Kolohe in order to really get yourself out there. you know?
Yeah, totally.
Good rascal.
It's paid off.
Yeah.
It's paid
you
off.
know.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, I was I guess I was an okay student.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually I did honors in like AP classes.
Oh
college classes.
wow.
So like,
Yeah.
but like mine was incentive based. So like
Ah.
my parents would pay me if I
Wow.
get good grades.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll get an A if you give me $20. You know what
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
awesome.
You know, but like if I wasn't incentive based, I wouldn't care. I would have just got C's. I would have been fine with that.
Well, that's good that they pushed you and they rewarded you instead of just giving you money.
Mhm.
You know, I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your business now, because you know we've come a long way. So I mean, for yourself, you've come a long way. You've opened up a second store during COVID.
Mhm.
How the heck did you do that?
Oh my gosh. Well, that honestly, Gavin, was my test to myself because I was always kind of risky with these things. I always trusted that gut feeling that I had that, okay, this is going to pay off. This is a smart business move. And so during COVID, I was testing that. And it was a test to myself of, hey, should I keep following that gut feeling or maybe should I step it back a little bit? And at the time, there was so much negative news that I wanted to just do something positive in the community, have something fun for me and my team to work on. We did go through and everyone was looking at me crazy. Everyone was like, what are you doing opening a store in COVID? Are you crazy? Everyone was shutting down. And the first few months were a little tough. Like anything new, especially because I was trying out a new concept. I don't know why I would try out a new concept in COVID versus just sticking to our branding, which is what worked. So eventually we went back to the complete Kolohe branding. We opened up in November of 2020, and then it was kind of rough up until March of 2021. 2021 things just skyrocketed, and then it was doing really really well. And then again in October when the new regulations came down, it kind of started trailing down, and then going into 2022 again it just skyrocketed, and now it's skyrocketing. And so I mean we're on track to double from what we did last year. But I think what happened during COVID with our business is it really gave us an opportunity to actually thrive. And if we hadn't opened that store, we wouldn't have developed the custom jewelry bar as quickly. We wouldn't have developed these fine jewelry pieces as quickly and becoming more of a luxury brand, you know. And I think people saw that in the community that we did that, and that's why it's led to a lot of our successful partnerships now. Like at Four Seasons, we do the trunk shows there, and I think people just see the the resiliency in us, and I think that's what also makes us stand out as a small business. I love the creative side, I love the jewelry side, but I also really love the business building and being business savvy, that side of it. And so I think those two things is what brought us through COVID. And of course, my team, we have a very, very awesome team, and everyone was just always so optimistic to make things happen. And so I think that's what stood out to us too, I'm just a very generally optimistic person. And so throughout COVID, I was like, you know what? This is not going to bring our business down. We're not going to do this. And I remember everyone saying, if your business can survive COVID, your business can survive anything. So I was so determined to make that happen.
Yeah.
And now we have an office location. Now we have our sales are reaching like new heights every month. And it's a really, it's a really nice place to be.
Yeah, definitely. I like that you took what with regulations, restrictions, and everything. Instead of looking at what you couldn't do, you looked at what you could do.
Exactly.
So,
I think that's the important part in anything.
yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of businesses, I think that are continuing, maybe they did the same thing. They looked at what they could do within their parameters.
Yes, totally. Yeah,
So,
focusing on what you can control instead of what you can't control.
yeah, definitely. I want to talk about the pop up because you did a pop up in California
We did a pop up in California.
during COVID.
It was during COVID, more near the end of it.
More the end of it. So yeah, tell me about your experience now.
That was really awesome. It helped us discover that most of our customers are actually in the mainland. So we had so many customers who've been following us but haven't shopped with us, and they drove from like hours away to come see us.
Wow. Okay.
That was a whole experience in itself because we got into this whole really sketchy Airbnb situation right across from Hotel Cecil.
Oh, on Skid Row.
Skid Row, yes. And I accidentally booked that location. My little brother came with us. And it was just the weirdest vibes ever. And just the whole place felt like a bad fever dream.
Yeah.
It was really, really weird. Some guy commented on my toes while we were like coming up. He said, "You have nice toes." And I'm like, what is going on here? So that first day,
You wore shoes after that.
yeah, that first day we were so like, oh, I just want to go home. And then the first day that we had our pop-up, it went amazing. Everyone came to support. A lot of our customers who were in the mainland. It did really, really well, very successful. And then we just, it kind of made our whole trip worth it. Yeah.
That's crazy. Wait, so right across the, oh my gosh.
So the view out of that location, that
Uh-huh.
Airbnb, you literally open it up, it's Hotel Cecil, and it just gave
Oh,
me the
jeez.
most eerie feeling ever.
Mm.
And just everyone from the security guard in that building,
Oh.
everything was so weird.
Mm.
And we had expensive jewelry with us, so we were like, we can't be going around this location.
Oh my God.
And what's even weirder is after I usually look at the reviews and everything, but it was so last minute. So after that, I start looking at the reviews, and there's some really sketchy reviews. They say like, "Oh, this person switched their name, the host,
Mm-hmm.
all these different things." And so when I tried to cancel, they at first wouldn't give me our refund, and I said, "What you're doing is really not safe. That's like
Mm.
very
Mm-hmm.
much false advertising, whatnot."
Yeah.
I googled what a Airbnb lawyer is called, and I texted that person and um, I said, my dad is an Airbnb estate lawyer or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're doing is illegal. It's not safe. And then the guy was like yelling at me, swearing at me through text, blah, blah, blah,
Oh
and all this.
jeez.
And then they gave me my refund, my full refund.
Oh,
So
okay.
that
Oh,
showed me
it
that
worked out.
something was off.
Mm.
Something was totally off. So that was a fun lesson.
Yeah.
It was a fun experience, and we survived. So
So and then you're also gonna do a Kolohe tour now. I mean, you're planning on doing pop-ups even
one
beyond like
day,
California.
I would love to do a Kolohe tour where we just go to different locations in the
Mm.
mainland because we have customers from all over. We
Mm.
go to different locations in the mainland, and then eventually I want to open a few stores there too.
Mm.
So we'll see how everything goes.
Yeah. How about internationally? Do you think?
I would love to open a store in Australia.
Oh,
We
okay.
have so many Australian customers,
Mm.
especially opening at the Lohilani Resort. They love our business,
Mm-hmm.
and we even had one of our customers offer to help us open a store there. So I think my first international store would be in Australia.
Oh, that's pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm.
You're gonna make it happen.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Definitely one
One
day.
day. One
One
day.
day, yes.
One day. So for your business, who are your like inspirations besides your family?
I love that question. I am so inspired by everyone that I surround myself with. Obviously, my business partner, Megan,
Mm-hmm.
she's very inspiring to me. And there's two main reasons why I run my business and why I want it to be so successful. One is my mom, to be able to
Mm.
help my mom. Um, and two is to be able to help my team and to give a good, decent paying job
Mm-hmm.
to everyone on my team. And so that's what we're kind of building towards. And those are the two things that drive me to make my business successful:
Mm-hmm.
take care of my mom and doing my part to take care of my team. Um, so I'm constantly inspired, by our team, by the amazing people we have in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm a very spiritual person, so I'm always inspired by my spirituality, the different types of people that I meet. As
Mm-hmm.
business savvy and logistical as I am, I also really like to nurture that spiritual side of me. And I think the two of them mesh really well together to have each understandings of the
Mm-hmm.
two balances.
Yeah.
So I am such a sappy, inspirational person. If like I don't know, I'm reading at a park one day and someone comes by, or I'm reading something so inspiring, I'm so sappy about it, but I love it. It's like magical and enchanting to me,
Yeah.
And so I'm inspired by daily life and by the people that I meet, the amazing people that I meet that keep me going. Very much inspired by my mom and her
Mm-hmm.
story of resiliency and, staying strong, and inspired by my spirituality, by my sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say just, yeah, my environment and the people around me, really amazing people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then for kind of like mentorship, do you still connected with a lot of your mentors? You met in college or?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I remember one of my main ones. I've been having early coffee dates with him
Mm-hmm.
at Morning Brew for about 2 to 3 years now, ever since I was in college. And he came in to talk about how he was the president of a company. He was in the building that, I believe it was the building, something like
Mm-hmm.
that, when 9/11 happened. So
Oh
he
gosh.
mentors me on the employee management side. And I
Mm.
remember he came in to talk to our college class. At the end, he said, does anyone have any questions? No one raised their hand except for me. I love it when people ask questions, you know, and I think I stood out to him and he appreciated that. So we stayed in touch and he's helped me through so many things whenever there's an employee management issue that I have. And he's actually how I met my CFO. So I totally stay in touch with a lot of people from there. And I think that's also one of the things that allows our business to succeed is because I have these amazing mentors and people that I can ask questions about. Yeah.
How about in like uh business entrepreneurship? Do you have any strong like female figures you probably look at and say like, man, that's something like that really inspires or motivates me?
I love Oprah.
Okay.
And I love Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
And there's a few local people that I really look up to. But it's interesting because most of my mentors are men. And yeah, I'm not sure why, but most of my mentors do tend to be men. But I love Michelle Obama and Oprah. I listen to their podcasts a lot.
Awesome. Well, you were saying you have a lot of masculine traits. Maybe you kind of veer towards people with masculine type
I think
personalities.
so. Maybe. I think I appreciate, not that women don't have this, but I appreciate the just the logistical side and the directive side that a lot of men have brought their companies through, or they're maybe it's just because they're in, I don't know, bigger positions, and that's a whole issue on its own. I'm not sure why. But it just tended to work out like that. And I think what's beautiful about it is there's a lot of men who want to support women businesses, you know? And so I think that's the beautiful part about it. I've had a lot of really amazing male mentors and yeah.
That's actually a good thing I want to ask about. So like for judgment, because like you're a female, you're young, do you get a lot of maybe misconceptions from others that maybe they'll say like, oh, maybe like, oh, you know, maybe when you go to a business meeting, they go like, oh, is your business partner here or something like that?
At first I did. But I think now, because I know how to carry myself in a room and to have my presence there, that doesn't happen quite often. And I feel like people can feel that, so that doesn't happen. I remember when I first opened the Alohilani, the first meeting I went to the general manager to get the keys, sign the lease and everything. He was like, "Oh, are you here by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the business owner." That was the only instance, but honestly, no, I haven't experienced much prejudice or too much about. I think the most is like the other day I met with a banker. I think the most thing is I look very young, and so obviously people have that preconceived notion about me, you know, that, hey, what's this 16-year-old looking girl doing? But as soon as I talk about either our numbers or our business management or anything, it just surprises them. So I kind of just embrace that shock factor at this point. I used to think, you know, I have to look a certain way, I have to look more mature, I have to do all this. But at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be me, and I'm just going to shock people with my age and my experience and my knowledge and my business building skills. So that's the point that I'm at. I'm just very comfortable with it all.
Yeah, definitely. And I think people shouldn't like judge, even if you were like 19 years old. I don't think people should judge the way you're running your business because you're doing it very successfully.
Yes. It speaks for itself.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't matter, you know, if you looked really young or if you looked really old. It shouldn't matter.
I think that's the norm too. I think a lot of young people are starting their own businesses. I see a lot of young people opening up stores now. So I think that's awesome that we're cultivating that environment for them.
Yeah, definitely. And even people I've had on the show too in the past, you know, some people thought like, oh, you know, like they must be in their 30s and stuff. I'm like, no, they're younger than me, you know, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And it's guys that are doing, you know, really successful as entrepreneurs, you know,
totally,
or realtors or whatever they're in. I'm thinking of two specific people right now, but yeah, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter about people's age or maybe what they look like. You do look very young, which is great. I don't, I think that's a good thing
Yes,
actually.
I'm sure I'll love it when I'm a little older.
Well, Asians don't reason, right? So
Exactly, exactly.
actually, a funny story about that. When I went to Vegas,
Uh-huh.
when I turned 21, it was like a couple days after I turned 21.
Yeah.
Um, went to my sister's like her reception party because she had a reception party at the Cosmopolitan,
Yeah, wow.
and then I was almost disappointed because like they weren't gonna card me, and I ordered a
Really?
drink, and
You're like,
then
I want to be carded.
yeah, come on, card me already.
I need the experience.
And they got me the drink, and then they're like, "Oh, we forgot to card you," and I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
Aw.
Here you go.
Yeah.
I'm 21,
Yeah. That's funny.
But like some people think like when I actually stayed the same like facial wise,
Yeah.
maybe like even 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say you look very young too.
Thank you. Well, some people think I'm like 40.
Oh, interesting.
Weird, right?
Weird.
Very interesting.
So weird.
Actually, kids think I'm like much older.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
I'm like,
kids are like that. Kids are like that.
So I used to teach young kids at like at church and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
So I used to do
Oh, that's beautiful.
for like 10 years. I did it for
Wow.
10 years. So I did it from like freshman to like 23 years old.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's awesome. What did you teach?
Just
Church
Bible stuff.
lessons.
Yeah, church lessons
Oh,
and stuff
that's
like that.
awesome.
We did skits and stuff like
Yeah.
that too.
I love that.
And a lot of them thought I was like 40,
Yeah.
45.
Well,
And
kids always have this warped. I feel like kids have thought I was older too. And they're so brutally honest.
yeah, which I
That's-
love. I mean,
yeah.
it's great. It's great that they're
They have
brutally
no
honest.
filter.
Yeah.
That's really sweet though that you did that. I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did it. I did it for a while. It was great. I
Yeah.
think my favorite age group was junior high.
Yeah, because they could formalize and start to understand
Yeah.
these concepts and take it in.
Yeah, it was what age group did you do for when you did A plus? Did you do?
I did well A plus. I think it was for elementary school, so it
Okay.
was only up to like 5th grade.
Mm.
And it was fun, but I don't know. It just wasn't my thing,
Mm.
So I moved on from that.
Mm-hmm.
But I love being around kids. Yeah.
Do you get orders for like custom jewelry for like maybe kids size?
Sometimes we
Okay.
get a lot of moms bringing in their young kids and they want to get a matching bracelet or something. So
Mhm.
that's the beauty of the business as well. We can customize the length
Mm-hmm.
so that it fits on different body types.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to when I was teaching kids like same thing. I was like, it was rewarding because I did elementary school, I did junior high, and I did high
Yeah.
school kids.
Oh wow.
So, but like I think junior high was my favorite. High school, I felt like they were too boring.
Yeah.
Sorry for sorry. I know you guys are watching this. I know you guys are watching this, but some of them are just maybe a little bit like they didn't really want to do anything. Maybe they just
Yeah.
seen everything or they heard everything, so
Yeah.
they kind of filtered it out.
So what's the biggest thing you learned from that?
I would say patience.
Yes.
A lot of
Oh,
patience.
totally.
That was my biggest thing. A lot of like, and when you were talking about like anger management, I was like the same way too.
Mhm.
With like a lot of things, like just certain things would just get me angered, like triggered just like that.
Yes.
But like I learned like with kids, I learned to just kind of slow it down and like
Yeah.
not really react. Because I used to be
Yes.
more of a reactor versus someone that thought before I reacted.
Yes.
But then like I became more of a thinker, then reacted after.
Yes. I think that's so important.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's good. That's a great lesson to take out of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, if you guys want to like be better with patience, yeah,
Work with some kids.
work with some kids, babysit.
Babysit,
You know,
uh-huh.
I used to babysit a lot too, actually.
Wow.
Not anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I got enough patience already.
That's funny.
So, let's talk about like some of your hobbies.
Sure.
So you do surfing. Anything,
Yes.
anything else that you really
I
passionate
love to surf. I started taking up slacklining.
Oh, okay.
So slackline sometimes. I
Mm.
love just going to the beach, spending time in the ocean. Surfing is my absolute favorite thing to do. We
Mm.
grew up surfing with my dad, so that was always kind of our family activity. And
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's just so refreshing for the soul. I love surfing, hiking,
Mhm.
And I love things just reading. I love reading, journaling, meditating. So yeah, that's what I mostly do on my weekends, I would say.
That's awesome. What's the best spot to surf at?
Secrets or toes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
Oh, okay, I
that's
agree.
what I like. That's what I like. It's a very far paddle, so some people don't like it. And then there's, the town sides like
Mm.
Bowls or somewhere like that. So I only go to the places that I'm comfortable with.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, Secrets is really good.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Secrets is fun.
Um, how about like misconceptions about like as a business owner? Because like
Ooh.
on your Instagram, you talk about business all the time. You talk
Mm-hmm.
about like um hustle, hustle, hustle. But I don't know if maybe people don't know that you relax a
Yes.
lot. You know,
Yes.
too.
And I think that's because that's what I portray. That's what um, as I love portraying that side about myself and my business. I'm
Mhm.
also very, uh, personal too. So I do keep some things
Mhm.
personally to myself. And the reason why I think that some of our stories deserve so much more than to just be like an Instagram post. And I think
Mhm.
you lose some things when you just post about it on Instagram,
Mhm.
And so the other day, actually, someone who we followed each other on Instagram, she reached out to me and she said, "Hey, you're so inspiring. I would love to do lunch with you." And that
Mhm.
gave us a chance to really connect over something.
Mhm.
So I appreciate that, and I don't ever want my story just to be another like Instagram post or Instagram thing. So
Yeah.
I try to be very intentional with my Instagram time
Mhm.
and what I post on there. I try to be very graceful about things, and I do think that that younger girls need more females like that,
Mhm.
that, hey, you can be known for your smarts and your intelligence, not just your body or your features on Instagram,
Mhm.
and so I really appreciate that. And yeah, Instagram culture is hard.
Mhm.
Instagram culture, I think, is so hard. It's just another tool that you have to be very balanced with. In terms of like what you said, hustle culture, I used to totally be like that,
Mhm.
totally hustle culture. And I think it was very important. It brought us to a point where we can now do
Mhm.
things a
Mhm.
little more comfortably. If I hadn't gone through that and worked 24/7, I don't think our business would have been here. But now that our business is at like a safe spot, a really prosperous spot, I can kind of
Mhm.
step down a little bit and enjoy the other side of things. And so
Mhm.
I think it's always a balance, and it really just depends on you, and what you want for your business,
Mhm.
and always doing things that feel right to you. If you do things just because everyone else is doing them, or to look like someone else, or to do things like someone else, it's not going to feel right for you, and then it's
Mhm.
just not going to thrive. So that's kind of the
Mhm.
point that I'm at.
Mhm.
I'm going to do things how I want to do things. Yeah, it's very interesting, Instagram culture.
Yeah.
But it is great for business.
Yeah,
It's been
definitely.
amazing for business and great for sharing stories like what you do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with the whole being intentional with your or being mindful of your decisions and what you do, having that balance. Because when I was doing my podcast even last year,
Mhm.
like people say like, oh, you took a big break and stuff, or actually, uh, from 2020 to like 2021, it took a kind of a big break.
Yeah.
That was because like I was pushing it so hard, so I kind of had like a
Yeah. Yeah.
a burnout moment, and I just kind of wanted to take a step back and
Yeah.
really,
Reevaluate.
yeah, reevaluate things and really change it up for the podcast and
Yes.
make it something more sustainable, but something that maybe I can enjoy more.
Yes.
Um,
Totally.
so like the whole thing about like hustle culture, I was kind of the same way too in the past, but like I learned later on like gotta have balance with yourself, but also
Yes.
friends, family,
Yes.
um, how you manage your time. I mean, there's so much things you could do.
Intention behind
Yeah,
it.
you have to have intention behind what you're doing.
Yes.
Because if you're just kind of
Work,
shooting whatever, then
working just to work,
yeah, working just to work, then you're just gonna
What's the
be
point of it?
exactly. What's the point? And
Yeah.
nothing's gonna progress.
Yeah. Totally.
Have you ever had maybe like a business? I don't want to say like fail, but like maybe like a certain idea that you brought up that didn't really turn out the way you wanted it to be like.
Totally. I think there's been so many lessons, so many lessons of the business. One great example is opening the store during COVID. So at that time, we had our Kolohe store at Alohilani, but I wanted to call that Waikiki Beach Walk store Oasis by Kolohe.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be, because it was right next to Luxury Row, so I wanted it to be super luxurious. We only had super high end. We were so fancy, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't really us yet, at least, you know? And so we were kind of forcing something that didn't work. Whereas, hey, why don't you just take your concept Kolohe that people already love and put that there? So as soon as we made that switch from Oasis by Kolohe to Kolohe, then it made a big difference. And what we learned from that is, you know, don't push things. If it's not meant for us, it's not meant for us. So that was one lesson. Another lesson throughout COVID, I got very personally invested and emotional with hiring people. I wanted to hire people just to give them jobs during COVID. And that didn't turn out to be the best situation for myself nor for my business. I was also very personal with everyone because I thought, hey, everyone is going to want to work on a business. But sometimes
True.
people just want jobs.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to be part of the bigger up team or whatever. They want to just clock in, do their sales associate work or whatever, and then clock out. And that's perfectly okay. So I got very personal. So what I had to learn from that was how to manage being personal with people, but then also more so importantly, being professional with people. And hiring off of the intent that, hey, this is the best thing for the business, not, oh, I just want to give jobs to people, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So there was many, many learning lessons. Another big one was last year in COVID 2021, our business grew so much that we almost didn't have the systems to support it. And we were always going after these big picture things. And what I learned from that was, hey, this year, let's just lay the foundation down. You know, we don't aim for anything big yet. Focus in on our systems. Focus in on our systems instead of the big goal. And then that big goal will come so naturally. And so that's what we've kind of done. And it's been so much more comfortable. Our systems are working really, really great. I'm so amazed and impressed by our team and everyone and the way that it's going. And yeah, kind of like you said, we reevaluated what we wanted our business to be known for. Megan and I reevaluated what we wanted to do with the business, and then set a plan for it, an intention, and started doing things the way that, you know, we want to do things rather than someone else wants to do things or rather than what we think we should do things for. Many lessons. I could go on and on about all of the lessons. It's crazy. I do want to write a book one day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, you should totally do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So summing up, you know, we're gonna wrap up the podcast a little bit, but I have a couple of questions. So
Sure.
first one, what are the top three like pieces of advice you have for maybe young entrepreneurs that are starting out? Just anything. They don't have to be in jewelry, but just in general.
Sure. Top three. Let's see. Definitely find something that you're passionate about. It sounds like a cliche, but it's so important because, like for me, at one point I lost motivation in it, you know, but I was still passionate about it. So that's what kept me going. Find something you're passionate about, and because for me it's bigger than, you know, just profits. For my mom, for my team, that's what keeps me going, keeps me energized. Find something you're passionate about. Two, work culture. The people that you surround yourself with and you hire are going to be so important because they're going to determine the whole outlook of your business. Even people that you let in as friends, you know, what advice are you taking? I think definitely focusing on work culture. And then three, I think it's important to figure out what you follow. Do you follow social media? Are you glamorizing everything on social media? Or what are your true values, you know? And I think really getting in tune with yourself and understanding yourself, your values, your spirituality, whatever that is for you, because then it's going to feel like yours and no one else's. I think staying true to those things, those are kind of the overall things. And there's a lot of logistical things like systems, mentorship, being, how you hire people, lots of different things. So networking, yeah. And if anyone ever has any questions, totally feel free to reach out to me. I love, sharing. So if you guys have more specific questions about that, I'm totally open to sharing what worked for us.
Of course. And then the second question is, what's next for Chop Kolohe? What's next for you? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do next?
Diamond rings.
Diamond rings.
We started doing engagement rings.
Oh,
we started
cool.
doing higher end jewelry pieces, and we have another trunk show at the Four Seasons coming up.
Oh, awesome.
So I think what you can expect from Kolohe is for us to be more intricate in our designs. We're kind of shifting from gold fill to more solid gold pieces, and pieces, truly investment pieces that you're going to pass down to your family one day. And those beautiful pieces, diamonds.
Awesome. So, once again, Rose, thank you for coming on the show and talking with us. And just how can people reach out to you, first of all?
Instagram is probably the easiest. Yes, I'm sure you'll tag me and everything.
Oh, of course I will.
I'm not in the store so much anymore. So many people still come and they're like, "Where's Rose?" I'm mostly in our office. So I would say Instagram is probably easiest. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, at Rosie Hope.
Rosie Hope.
Hope is your middle name.
Hope is my middle name.
Okay. That was just a guess.
Yeah.
But
good guess.
And then is it at Shop Kolohe? All one word?
Yes, at Shop Kolohe. And then our website is shopkolohe.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yay.
Well, Rose, oh my gosh, we're almost finished our drinks over here. So at the end of the show, I always do a kampai just to give like a cheers to the guests. So, Rose, this is to you. This is to Shop Kolohe, the success that you've had, and the success that you're gonna have in the future as well. Wedding rings, engagement rings. That's awesome.
Yes.
But also, hopefully you can write a book one day. I would love to read that. That would be.
I'll let you know when it comes out.
Definitely. And then, if you ever start a podcast or if you ever need help starting a podcast, let me know.
Thank you.
I'm always down to help. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much too.
Kampai.
Kampai.